Hey everybody, just a little video showing you some cool stuff that I got going on Project Eden this weekend. So first thing I did was update it to work in the new pre-release one for Unreal Engine 5 that's just been put out. It looks really nice. I really like the user interface. I'm a little bit disappointed. The performance for the procedural mesh component seems to be a bit worse. So if you notice my frame rate here, it's sitting on 100 when I'm not moving around. When I am moving around, it drops down to about 30 when it regenerates the mesh, as you can see here. So that's a bit worse than 4.27, and that's without collision on. If I want to play it, I have to put on collision, and that only creates collision for the smallest octave that you can see here. There. That means now I can play it, and you can see frame rate's pretty juddery. It's a bit disappointing. If I, however, select the planet and come along here and tilt it to use 32 edges, then the performance is a lot better, but you lose a lot of detail in the distance, which is a shame. So still working on that. At 4.27 I was trying to cross over to Coder's runtime mesh component, but a year ago or so he changed the way that works, and now I find it very difficult to understand what's going on in that. And I don't think he's working on it anymore, and the docs aren't very good, so I haven't been able to figure out much with that. The code I have was working in the early access for 5, but it doesn't work in pre-release 1, and the error messages are really scary, and I'm not a low-level engine programmer, so I've just fallen back here to the procedural mesh component, but I'll need to try and figure out some way of getting better performance. I had a look at virtual height fields, but they're no good because you got to bake the data for that in the editor. It's not dynamic. I need to do random planets. I need to be able to just do that on the fly at runtime, and I haven't, as far as I can tell, you can't do that in with virtual height field meshes. Anyway, so the big thing that I have been able to get going, which is pretty cool, and the reason why I'm making this video is because, first of all, you can see I got rid of that awful test texture with all the rainbow colors showing the UV grid. It's making my eyes burn. So what's happening here is that in the mesh, in the vertex colors, I'm encoding the elevation of the terrain, which the material that I have here is very basic material. It's just using that gradient to, say, do some lerping between this reflective water material and non-reflective land material. I'll encode slope and directionality from the normal map into this as well, but it means that you can do like elevation and slope based materials that respect the spherical surface of the planet. Anyway, that's not the cool thing. The cool thing that I've got going is what I call planet tumbling. I'm going to switch up my speed a bit here. There we go. Where I can actually dial in a latitude and a longitude for the planet, and it'll tumble the planet to that location in the editor, so that wherever I specify for this latitude and longitude, that'll get tumbled around to be at 0, 0, 0 in the editor. So if I come back down here to the sky, there it goes like that. In previous videos, I've got to put that resolution up, that's awful. Anyone who can suggest any ways to do better mesh generation in Unreal, please let me know. So if I was to go 59.9.9, 59.9, there you go, you can see it jumping around there, 59.8, of course longitude 29.9 or 30.9. and how far you jump, of course, with your latitude and longitudinal degrees is, well, it's influenced by the size of your planet, but this planet's pretty big. It's like all those zeros. Makes my brain hurt trying to count it without clicking it, but it's big. And so I was to take it up to the North Pole. This is where I have been doing previous videos, but this doesn't look the same because it doesn't have that horrible UV texture on it. And I always put a big cube in like this to represent a skyscraper, so you can see how big the planet is, generally speaking. So if I go back to here, so you've got the water as a reference. And turn off collision because it's just making it go really badly. The idea of that pretend skyscraper is that everyone knows there's lots of people doing planets and they go, oh look how big my planet is, but it's really only asteroid size. And the idea of having a skyscraper there is to sort of give you an idea. A planet can feel really big but only be asteroid size, but you zoom out and it looks like a big planet, but then you put a building or a city on the surface and you fly out to orbit and the thing's still the size of your fist on the surface of the planet. It's like, oh, my planet's not as big as I thought. So let's have a test object there. The height map is just coming from one 2K texture. And the clouds are just a simple sphere mesh with it looks pretty bad out at orbit, but what I'll do in the material is, as I get at a certain distance, I'll blend away from my simple material here that's fitting off the vertex colors and just replace it with the actual height map and use that as the lerp, and it should be fairly smooth. But it's looking pretty cool, and the tumble thing in particular I'm very happy with because it was a real pain in the backside, and I finally got it going. And the idea with the tumbling is to make it more editor friendly, so it's easy to just spin around your world and work on different locations. What I'll do is I'll create what I call positions of interest. It'll be a list on the planet that you can just add new POIs to, and then parent local locations to that. So when you're in game and you fly around the planet, it'll rotate away, so will the root POI, and whatever you attach to that will move away anyway. But, that will all be done in time. But yeah, no, I just wanted to make a video because it's been a weekend from hell here with extreme weather and flooding, and I forgot to turn collision on. I'll do it again just so I finish. Cool. Put that in 32, put that collision back on. But it's nice to see some not bright rainbow materials and the dude running around and some water and some clouds and stuff. Cool. Anyway, it's about that. It's a giant building.